Good evening. Welcome to tonight's debate. My name is Andrew Keller. Tonight's debate is the third and final in a series of 3 debates sponsored by the Ashland County Young Republicans between mayoral candidates incumbent Mayor Glenn Stewart and challenger Mrs. Kim Studney Calhoun. Tonight's debate's being simulcast live on AUTV20 and also live on the radio on 88.9 FM WRDL. And the broadcast is being produced by the students and faculty of the Department of Journalism and Digital Media at Ashland University. The format for tonight's debate will involve opening statements, questions, and closing statements. Each candidate will have 3.5 minutes, up to 3.5 minutes for their opening statement, at which point we'll proceed to 14 questions. Each candidate will respond to a question. We'll have 2 minutes to respond, and then the other candidate will have a 1.5 minute ability to respond to the first candidate's answer. And then we'll proceed to closing statements. Each candidate will have up to 3 minutes for closing statements. We did a coin toss beforehand, and Mrs. Kim Studney Calhoun won the coin toss, so she will go first on opening statements. Mayor Glenn Stewart will go first on the first question, at which point we alternate. And then on closing statements, Mrs. Kim Calhoun will go first on closing statements and Mayor Stewart will go second on closing statements. So with that said, we'll turn to Mrs. Calhoun for her opening statement for tonight's debate.
Good evening. I am Kim Studney Calhoun and I love Ashland. Before I get to my plan for Ashland, I feel I owe you, the voters, the reason why I want to be your mayor. I want to earn your vote and would be honored to serve you. As a child growing up, my sisters and I went to the Christmas parade with Mom and Dad. The streets were packed and the parade was magical. The downtown had stores and they were open for business. The lights and decorations were everywhere. We absolutely couldn't wait to go to Santa's red and white striped house to tell him what we wanted for Christmas. It seemed as if the whole community of Ashland was there enjoying each other's company. Ashland was vibrant. That was my picture of Ashland then, and here is how I plan to bring back Ashland as a desirable place to live, a prosperous place to work, and an attractive place to play. This is not a retirement job for me. This is my passion. Over the last 10 years, Ashland's population and tax base has dwindled. I will make it a priority to support and educate a skilled workforce and retain and attract people and businesses. I have a plan to increase revenue by focusing on inefficiencies. The prevailing practice of retire-rehire without great financial benefit to the city will be discouraged. The opportunity for qualified candidates to apply will be provided. I will not sign legislation that provides a 10.36% raise over the next term for the position of mayor. This is not acceptable. The city needs to develop and then enforce building maintenance codes in the downtown area to clean up buildings and prepare them for sale or lease. The current condition of buildings does not promote downtown as a destination. I plan to bring jobs to Ashland by monitoring our financial investment in the Ashland Area Council for Economic Development. I will be a watchdog of your money so that we get the biggest bang for our buck by assessing the acreage that is available to be developed in our business park. It must be shovel-ready. I will aggressively pursue leads and develop new contacts so that new businesses will come to Ashland. I will listen more closely to our community leaders. I believe the current proposal for the at-grade intersection at 42-250 is short-sighted. We did not listen to our community leaders. If possible, I hope to repropose the alternate plan that keeps the bridge and allows for a smooth and safe vehicular flow. I plan to keep the 911 dispatch service in Ashland by bringing the involved people to the table and communicating everyone's needs with the purpose of providing input and suggestions that would improve service. Personally, I don't want my 911 calls being outsourced to Worcester. Ultimately, your current local government must be led by a leader that serves the residents, the businesses, and the city workforce team. That includes a vision that Ashland is a desirable place to live, a prosperous place to work, and an attractive place to play. We will no longer accept the status quo. As your leader, I will be purposeful in creating a team, Team Ashland, one purpose, one community that shares the goal of moving Ashland toward our vision.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mayor Stewart.
Well, good evening. I'm Glenn Stewart. My wife Judy and I have lived in Ashland. We moved here originally in 1966, left in 1989, and returned in 1997. During that tenure, I've been a city councilman. I've been the mayor for the last 6 years, and I propose that I'm the best candidate to continue that, and I will share with you why shortly. I offer my thanks to AU's radio and television students and faculty for hosting this debate, as well as the Ashland County Young Republicans for sponsoring this event. At this time, I want to emphasize that for the past several weeks, I have focused on my experience of managing major projects and having held very responsible management positions in the private sector. All of that experience has given me a huge advantage as your mayor, managing Ashland city government for nearly 6 years through very trying economic times. But tonight I want to shift from that, what my proven record has shown, to my commitment to each of you, Ashlanders, regarding what I will do as your mayor. I will continue to operate the city with a watchful eye on our expenditures while living within the budget as I have done for the past 6 years. I will continue measuring the services provided to our residents, and when proven appropriate, I will adapt services as time, technology, and costs dictate. Collaboration is so important to our community. I will continue with a high level of collaboration with the following groups: Ashland Area Council for Economic Development. I have continuing discussion with the Economic Development Department. They are among the first to receive calls for potential new business opportunities in Ashland from site developers, the state of Ohio, and many other referrals. Ashland County, we have a joint management agreement to manage their Bureau of Workmen's Compensation. We work with the county engineers and have continuing dialogue on a regular basis with other county departments. The Community Investment Corporation, or CIC, they are an integral part of the business development, including the development of our business park in Ashland. They are the reason the city of Ashland was able to retain an active railroad service. I serve on their board. Ashland University, I have worked with their president while looking at our combined future for Ashland. We use AU for training and have student interns working with various departments of our city. The Ashland Chamber of Commerce, I am involved with the Chamber on an ongoing basis, welcoming new businesses to Ashland as well as having dialogue on various business activities. Samaritan Regional Health System, our EMS teams work very closely on a daily basis with Samaritan Hospital. That collaboration results in the well-being of our residents and others involved in serious medical emergencies. We also collaborate with them for training purposes. The pursuit of new businesses and jobs will remain on the front burner as one of my primary goals. This goes hand in hand with retaining business and jobs. I will continue to have dialogue with existing businesses with the intent of meeting their needs for the long-term success of our city. I have continual communication with our elected and state officials. And finally, I will give you, the citizens, another full 4 years as your mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Stewart, you go first on questions this evening. Our first question is, as the incumbent in this race, explain why you believe the residents of Ashland should give you 4 more years as mayor.
Well, some of that I just explained. I've given Ashland excellent, experienced leadership for the last 6 years. We have had very, very difficult economic times in this community, not unlike many others. But unlike some others, we have not gone into some fiscal irresponsibility or guidance by an outside source. I also believe that I have shown you that I work with the community. I work with the various industries in this community. I work with the various leaders in this community, and I listen to them. I think that gives me a position to continue as mayor of Ashland, Ohio.
Thank you. Mrs. Calhoun, you may respond to that if you'd like.
Well, I'm not the incumbent, but as the elected, the reason why the voters should elect me as their mayor is because we need a new start. We need to have a fresh look at the community, and I will lead the community with energy and enthusiasm. I've worked for the city as city council clerk, and I've seen how our fiscal, how our funds have been used, and I feel that during these difficult economic times, they do not feel that that the elected officials should be taking raises, and they have been. There is better use of our funds by not having a rehire-retire practice that we have. We need to be able to save money and open positions for opportunities for people to come in and have opportunities to work in the city. When someone comes in and applies for a job, they would not be getting the same pay scale that someone who has retired and been rehired. We need to have someone who's who's excited about trash. Sanitation and recycling would be something that we could certainly work to improve our budget. And there are lots of people who are excited about recycling and trash, and I am one of them. And I've talked to many people who feel that that is something that we should be doing to enhance our finances. And I just love this community. I have passion for Ashland. I have a vision for where it will go. It used to be a vibrant place to live, and downtown was exciting, and we all had jobs. And that isn't happening now, and I haven't seen that happen under your current administration.
Thank you, Mrs. Calhoun. And the next question goes to you. It really piggybacks on our conversation we've had so far. Our next question is, as the challenger in this race, what about your platform do you believe should best convince city voters that it is time for a change?
My platform is about fiscal responsibility and bringing inclusion into our community. I feel that I am, as a nonpartisan race, I feel that all the community should be included in making decisions. And of course, we can't have everybody coming to the table, but I want to make sure that the residents know that that their leader is a person that they can approach and they can talk to about issues that they have in Ashland. And that's been happening with me. I'm a person that's out there in the community. I'm involved in a heart chase, shop with a cop. I was just doing all those things last week. I'm out there being involved in doing everything I can to help this community. When people have questions, they turn to me. I feel that I'm approachable and that I would have the opportunity to make very positive changes to Ashland. As I said, one of the things is improving our recycling. We really need to when leaders leave a department, we really need to fill that leadership position and then open up the lower level positions for people to be hired in. We should not have so many departments that do not have a department head. Just being a person who's enthusiastic and energetic is what I feel that this community needs to lead us to the next level.
Thank you. Mayor Stewart, response?
Would you repeat that real quick?
The original question was, as the challenger in this race, what about your platform do you believe should best convince city voters it's time for a change?
I'm going to read you my promises. That is really the crux of my platform. I will continue a management style that includes my team of directors as well as input from business leaders in the community. I will continue to work with the 5 members of City Council and other elected officials. I promise to manage the city within the budget and as directed by our current economy. Technology will be employed where it is prudent for the overall well-being. That's my basis for my platform, and it's pretty strong as far as I'm concerned. I'd like to step back to the recycling. I want to share with you some numbers. At the end of 2012, we had collected 606 tons of recyclables, which we sold for a total of $39,513 and saved $28,000 from our previous process where we were paying to dispose of those recyclables. This year, we are on target for our budget in a similar year. The prices for recyclable materials has dropped. but we're still on target to be where we need to be. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Stewart, which of the city's major revenue sources give you the most cause for concern in the next 4 years, and how do you plan to address this?
Well, the city income tax is still a major source of revenue for the general fund. It was stated here in a recent debate, not one of these that's sponsored tonight, that the city has an $11 million general fund, of which is split between the police and the fire. That's totally inaccurate. There's approximately $5.5 to $6 million spent on police and fire, and the balance goes to the general fund. We have, this year we're on target for about $8.1 million in income tax. That is still down from our peak of 2007 of, I think it was 8.4 million. We did drop to a low of 7.8 million. So even with the revival back up to 8.1, if you look at that over a 4-year period, our buying power has diminished drastically. Just for an instance, we all know what gasoline has done. So that 8.1 million really has not brought our buying power and the finances of the city in any real positive term. I think the other things that we have to look at are the distribution of how we distribute our general fund monies and what we allocate general fund dollars to. Again, as I said earlier, the police and fire, which are two excellent operations, receive the vast majority of the general fund overall revenue. They do have some other sources because, especially our fire division, we contract with 2 townships to provide them police and or emergent EMS service, and that generates several $1,000s for the fire fund. In fact, that Fund 222 is something that we use to keep our fire equipment somewhat up to date. I don't know if any of you realize it or not, but a ladder truck today is over $1 million. Ours, it's got about another 5 to 6 years service at most. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Calhoun. Would you like to respond?
Yes, the income tax and the enterprise funds are the two main sources of our income. And the income tax is a concern because House Bill 5 at the state is considering taking over the administration of the income tax. That means they're going to take over an administration fee. This is in the House right now, and it has been tossed around and talked about for over a year, and is still probably going to be a decision that will be made. So that means we'll have a regional income tax association that will be paying our income taxes to. So therefore, our income tax again will be dwindling. The enterprise funds are the water, sanitation, sewer, the things that we pay for our bills, and we pay $360,000 a year for our the city pays that to be dumping our trash into the landfill. That is a concern for me because again, we should be recycling more, and we need to be having more, building our fund and re-looking at that. Ambulance billing is being done in-house, and that has been drastically reduced because that needs to be done by a specialized company. Ambulance billing is specialized with medical coding, and that is a revenue increasing source that needs to be looked at because it had been done by another company that specialized in it, and then it was taken back by the city.
Thank you. Mrs. Calhoun, what areas of city expense do you believe will cause the city the most financial hardship throughout the next 4 years, and how do you plan to address this?
Our infrastructure is the biggest expense, so it's a matter of working with federal and states and getting the grants and planning for that in our budget. As Mayor Stewart had said one time, the water lines are being fixed. That's part of the infrastructure. And right now, our streets and roads are in great need of repair. So those are huge budget items that need to be planned for with a 4 to 6 year plan. We need to get started on streets now. When you work on the lower middle income areas, you can get more grants, higher levels of funding. So I would say those are the areas that are the biggest.
Thank you. Mayor Stewart, would you like to respond?
Yes, infrastructure has been and will continue to be a major concern. Infrastructure is water lines, sewer lines, storm sewer lines, our streets, and other facilities such as that. I can tell you that since I've been in office, we've brought in over $7.1 million in grants. And a great number of those dollars have gone to water lines, sewer lines, and even some street pavements. We have a CDBG funds that address the lower middle class income areas, as it's designated, and we use some of those funds for improving infrastructure in those areas. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Stewart, do you believe that the City of Ashland is getting a fair return on its investment in the Ashland Area Council for Economic Development?
Absolutely. We support the Ashland Area Council for Economic Development monetarily and along with their facilities. They have a rent-free facility. Utilities are included. They have a parking space. But all of that we get a great return from. I can tell you that I worked with the Economic Development Department in bringing Barbasol here. I worked with them when Novatech came here. I've worked with them when we kept Raindrop here. I worked with them a little bit on the Ashland Conveyor when they came here. I've worked with them on numerous occasions in finding locations for companies that were looking. We don't land all those companies that are looking in Ashland, but those that we talk to, we talk together, and they have the resources, and they are the contact, the first contact for many of the firms that are looking for a location. I need to tell you, with today's technology, Ashland, Ohio can be blown off of the radar map, and we don't know we're on it when a company is looking for a location. But we have a very vigilant economic development group, and I work very closely with them. And I need to tell you that the president of our city council and another city resident reside on their board, along with two people, a commissioner, a county commissioner, and another person out of the county, and someone from the Mohican Area Growth Foundation. I think we're well represented, and I think they are doing a very good job.
Thank you. Mrs. Calhoun, would you like to respond?
Could you give me the question again, please?
Do you believe the City of Ashland is getting a fair return on its investment in the Ashland Area Council for Economic Development?
Well, I would say that we are not putting a lot of money into it, and we could be doing more, but I'd want to know where that money is going. I am not seeing results now of what economic development is doing, and I know we have a new economic development director. I'd like to see that, I'd like to know what they're doing and have an idea of where those results are. I know Mayor Stewart talks about what has been and what's been done before, but I'd like to talk about the future and what they're going to do in the future. And will we have more aggressive approach to contacting businesses and getting out there more instead of just within the walls of our community, but reaching out to companies and reaching out to the companies that are here and finding out who they're in contact with. Do we have a point person? Do we have a packet that tells people what they need to do when they come to Ashland? Those are things that are a mystery, and finding these answers would be something that would be important to do. I will say I think it is inappropriate to have a contest for Facebook likes on our economic development website, and I think that needs to be taken care of. It looks unprofessional, and we could certainly, you need to have a very professional approach to economic development.
Thank you. Mrs. Calhoun, how is the city's current level of recycling funded, and do you think any changes are necessary in funding and operations of the city's recycling program?
The recycling is funded by the general fund, but it should be funding itself. And that's where I would like to take it. Our recycling is to be something that we get paid for, or at the very least that the budget of the recycling and sanitation is, we are recycling more and paying less for the tonnage that we put into the landfill. That's the goal, to do the best thing for the community and for our environment, is to recycle as much as we can possibly do. And by having more recycling, we are spending less on tonnage into the landfill, and that's that $360,000 that comes out of our budget. That needs to be lessened, and we need to be paid more for our recycling. We need to be recycling more and get paid for it. Thank you.
Mayor Stewart, would you like to respond?
Sure. What we receive on our recycled material is based on market price when we take it to the recycling center that buys it. Normally we take our recycled material to Mansfield. I need to respond to our landfill costs. We have negotiated from a $52 per ton cost to take sanitation and other material to the landfill to a $38 per ton just in the past couple of months. The recycling at this point in time does not pay its full way, and I understand that, but it also is reducing our cost of taking it to the landfill. And every ton that we don't take to the landfill saves us $38, and every ton that we take to the recycling buyer gives us, and I don't have the number that they're paying because the number is different for all of the various materials that we take, and it ranges from 83, no, I don't have those numbers, but it is a range for between ferrous, non-ferrous, tires, motor oil, yard waste, electronics, and so on, including aluminum, tin, and that sort of thing. So it does not pay its way because we have trucks and we have people picking this up, but it is the right thing to do. I will tell you that glass recycling today does pay $20 a ton. We can't haul it to the source for $20 a ton. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Stewart, how do you believe Ashland is perceived by individuals and businesses considering relocating to Ashland? And do you think any changes are necessary to improve Ashland's image?
Well, there's always room for improvement to improve our image. That's a very general question. What do we do? We have a group in Ashland Main Street right now that is working very diligently in improving the appearance and the businesses downtown. We have another group that's working on what we want to call is our marketing or our image. That's a separate group, and it's an offshoot of the chamber. Yes, we do need to be more positive. But you know, when I'm going to go back to Barbasol again. Barbasol's owner, Mr. Tom Murray, made the statement that we were one of the major things, the reason Ashland was selected is the way we supported the Kroc Center and the way we were supporting the United Way. He felt that Ashland really believed in their people, and we are a generous group of people. And that's something you can check the record, but that was a statement that was made. Not everybody looks at it that way, but I've also been told by many of our employers that our employees, their employees, are very, very, they have a very good work ethic, and they do share that when we bring another firm into Ashland to let them hear about Ashland and why they should come here. So I think we have an image, a very positive image for our people, the employees. I think we have a good image for the city. We have an excellent location. You can go to 3 major airports within an hour, Cleveland, Akron, and Columbus. So we're in the middle of a whole lot of travel capabilities and possibilities. We're on an interstate, we're just below the turnpike, we're just above Route 30. I think we have a great location too. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Calhoun, would you like to respond?
Well, people that are considering relocating to Ashland are noticing probably our website, and I can't say what they are doing. I know what they are thinking. I can't speak for, I don't know them, but I know in our branding group that we did send out an information flyer and asked what people perceived Ashland as, and they perceived it as a place that has not changed, or if it has changed, it has changed for the worst in the last 10 years. What we need to be doing is making sure that we have a vision. We don't seem to have a vision for Ashland or a plan that I know of, and I work for the city, I haven't seen it. We need to be marketing Ashland as a desirable place to live, a prosperous place to work, and an attractive place to play. And that means we need to bring in fun things to do for families, the parks. We need to focus on those. The school system is something that has been enhanced because, thank goodness, the voters have voted for our levy, and we're grateful for that. The downtown is a sore spot right now, and we really need to focus on that. Building maintenance codes need to be, we need to have building maintenance codes, and we certainly need to enforce them. We need to make downtown a place where we can have people leasing and renting buildings and having those buildings filled up so people will enjoy downtown.
Thank you. Mrs. Calhoun, would you favor establishing a regional 911 dispatch entity if it were shown to be a substantial cost savings to the city?
A 911 dispatch outside of Ashland?
A regional.
A regional.
If it were shown to be a cost savings.
I would not do that unless I brought all the parties to the table. And the parties that need to be brought to the table are the Sheriff's Department, the dispatchers, the police, fire, the people that are involved in the dispatch. I'm very against it right now, and I can't envision how it could be less expensive because if you're going to start a new 911 dispatch area, you're going to have a building and you're going to have all the costs of the state-of-the-art equipment. Why not put that into our own dispatch area that we have and work on training the dispatchers if there's a concern there? We have a good group of people there, and if there are any problems, it's a simple matter of communicating and getting the people to the table. I've spoken with many people involved in it, and it really concerns me that we would outsource our 911. Why would you take your 911 call to Worcester to have it then be called back into Ashland? Our own 911 dispatch at the Sheriff's Office is not going anywhere, whether we regionalize it or not. It will still come back to calls in Ashland.
Thank you. Mayor Stewart, would you like to respond to that?
Absolutely. There's a major difference between 911 calls and dispatch. 911 calls will not leave Ashland. They will be answered as they are today by the Sheriff's Department and the employees that he has there, and they are also used as dispatchers. There would be no difference, significant difference, when a 911 call is taken, it is dispatched to the service department, whether it be fire, police, sheriff, or whatever. The difference might be a few seconds or a very short time because the 911 call, would be sent to a dispatch service and then sent back to Ashland. It would be zero difference between the many calls we get today that we have no idea where they're coming from. The technology today is available to have dispatch or 911 answered anywhere in the world. I think that looking at the quality and the cost, and that's what I've said all along, it has to be as good a quality and it has to save us money. Whether it will or not in the end, I don't know, but that's the goal. We spend $450,000 a year to have our current dispatchers dispatch the police and fire in Ashland, Ohio.
Thank you. Mayor Stewart, what do you believe are specific achievable goals in terms of improving the city's infrastructure during the next 4 years?
The goals continue to be similar to what we've done for years. We know where the faulty water lines are those that have a need to be replaced. We know where our sewer lines are, where they're faulty. And we do have some faulty sewer lines and some less desirable water lines. I do not have a written plan of which water line should be replaced next. I'll lay that right out on the table. I do not have a written plan on which sewer line should be replaced next. We have not had the luxury of going out and just starting the process of replacing water and sewer lines, because we have been in a mode of replacing those that have had significant problems. And until we find a major mountain of money, we will probably not get into a major planning process. We know where we need to go. We are so caught up in some failures that we just have not been able to approach it in that manner. I don't want to say there isn't any plan. There's a lot of knowledge, and we know where things need to be done, but I do not have a 5-year plan for water and sewer line replacement.
Thank you. Mrs. Calhoun, would you like to respond?
It doesn't cost money to make a plan and be proactive about making that plan, getting out the map and looking at the streets and the geographic information system and see where it is that the water lines are needed and the sewer lines are needed. I would like to propose that for our residents that we have an insurance program for them to have from their home to the street, from outside their home to the street, an insurance plan for their water and sewer lines. And there is a program that actually sets this up for the community, for the residents, and they also provide a stipend check back to the local government. The city of Riverside, Ohio, which is the same demographics and population as Ashland, has done this in the first 6 months of their program. They received a return of $50,000 back into their fund for street and infrastructure repair and replacement. So that's something I plan to investigate immediately when I get into office.
Thank you. Mrs. Calhoun, you've expressed concern about the way the mayor's office handled the time leading up to the closing of Archway. What specifically would you have done differently?
Well, I am a relationship person, and I would. There were two situations where, and it's again the proactive and reactive. When things happen, I think our administration is very good at putting out fires. There needs to be a regular schedule of visiting companies, of getting to know the heads of those companies and making sure that they are, what can we do to help them? And that's where I feel that this administration falls short. The mayor said his calendar is very busy and we should look at it, but the fact is developing relationships isn't just all on your calendar, but you have to make sure that you are touching base. Make a list, be proactive, make a plan. Here are the businesses I'm going to talk to this week. I'm going to make a call personally, not have my secretary call and make an appointment. I will call and see if they'd like to talk and see if everything's going okay. What can we do to help? What can we do to help your businesses? What can we do to help your workforce? Can we do anything to help?
Thank you. Mayor Stewart, would you like to respond?
I think your question was directed towards Archway. Archway was a total surprise to everyone, and as I said in our last debate, the bankers didn't even know that they were going to lock the doors. That was a total surprise. And yes, we did react, and we reacted in a very positive way. We reacted in a way that in just a few weeks, the company was open and it was bringing back employees who had lost their livelihood. As far as talking to companies, tomorrow afternoon, I'm meeting with one of the companies in Ashland, Ohio. This person is new to the management team and is coming from their management headquarters to Ashland, and we're meeting. I meet with a lot of company heads over the year. I do not pester them, but they know that if they call my office or if I call their office, we communicate. We do not always communicate face to face, but communication has many ways of happening. Today, face to face, telephone, emails. I have a lot of conversations with a lot of our companies. Many times it's tied in with our economic development director. We jointly visit companies. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Stewart, do you believe that the status of emergency equipment in the safety divisions is being maintained at an adequate level, or are changes necessary?
Well, I don't know of any safety or emergency equipment that is not absolutely fit to be on the highway and used as it's intended. I would never say that we don't have a piece of equipment that may be down, but I don't know that we're running any equipment that is in ill repair or unsafe. That isn't acceptable.
Thank you. Mrs. Calhoun, would you like to respond to that?
The emergency equipment, if it's maintained at an adequate level, I would trust that to the judgment of the emergency department heads, the police and the fire. I will say that they appropriate their budgets per year, and I know that there have been changes in or appropriations have been made on a monthly basis to balance out the budget, and I know there is some concern that there have been some perhaps some apparatuses that the fire needs or that the police are needing, and that money has been moved around within their budget. I know at the beginning of the year when the department heads were asked to make their budget, that they were supposed to say what they wanted to have and what they needed to have. So I would assume and I trust that they put in what their needs were for having adequate emergency equipment, and that if they had that line item budget at the beginning of the year, then that line item needs to stay so that they can afford to pay for the equipment that they need.
Thank you. Mrs. Calhoun, how do you think the city has done in obtaining grant monies in the past, and are there any specific grants you would pursue for the city if elected?
I think they've gotten grant monies. I think they do the ones that are comfortable, that they've done before, 3 or 4 a year in different departments, and I commend the people that do that. You can get really comfortable. I know it's hard to do grants, and it can get really comfortable just doing the ones that we already have the application for and fill in the blanks. What I would like to be is more aggressive, far more aggressive on our grants. Again, I go back to sustainability or recycling or sanitation. I just received a notice from the Ohio Municipal League that stated that there's a page of grant money, potential grant applications that we could be looking into. And I would like people to explore those areas to see where we could get more grant funding.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mayor Stewart.
Grant funding, as I said a few minutes ago, we have received a little over $7 million since I've been in office. The cost of the city for that was, I believe, $1.2 million. It's a pretty aggressive approach to getting funds. And as I shared earlier, the vast majority of that money went into infrastructure. Grant writing is it's not a fun process. I have discouraged grant writing for grants that is tied to labor. In other words, there are police grants, there are firemen's grants, and when those are all tied with strings, and when you bring a person on that's tied to a grant, that grant may cover 80% for the first year, 60%, 40%, and then you're obligated to keep the person. If we can't afford to hire them at the time of the grant, I'm not in favor of hiring someone that I can't assure them of a job after the grant has run out. And if I can't hire them now, I probably won't be able to afford them in 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Stewart, you've stressed that you believe in a team approach as your leadership philosophy. Do you believe you've been successful in creating a team environment within city leadership?
Absolutely. My door is open. I see probably 2 or 3 of my department heads every day. We have a departmental meeting every other Tuesday. We meet for anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half, and very frequently I meet with 1 or 2 of them following that meeting. I stressed earlier that I believe in the team approach. I have 8 directors, and they have 240 plus people in their team. That's how we work as a team. We share people when there's a need in one department to another. We share people between parks and and recreation and the golf. We have recently taken a team of water and sewer maintenance people and melded them into one operation, which is a team approach. We had no problems with that. If we weren't operating with a team approach, we would have had a lot of problems melding two groups together. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Calhoun, would you like to respond?
I think there's a loss in the team approach when you are only teaming up with your department heads. And I do feel, I know from speaking with a lot of people that the loss is felt, that the administration does not know the names or even the employees that are below senior leadership level. I do know that the 911 dispatch people are scratching their heads as to why this dispatch is being requested by the mayor to go to Worcester, because it was set up so that the leaders of the dispatch, the people that are involved in that, would get to the table and talk about any concerns they have. Well, I've spoken to the interested parties, and there has been no gathering around a table to talk about what the concerns are. That's a huge loss, and there's team approach and there's relationship approach, and the teams all need to be one team, the whole department. As your mayor, I will know the people who work in this community or work for the city of Ashland. They want to be listened to, and they want to know that they're the leader of Ashland, that their mayor knows who they are and that cares about what they're doing.
Thank you, Mrs. Calhoun. What about your leadership philosophy do you believe would enable you to foster cooperative working relationships with city leadership?
My philosophy is that we will have a shared vision, and the leadership of Ashland, hopefully the residents of Ashland voted in their leadership to, with that in mind, that Ashland, the goal is that Ashland prosper and grow and become a vital community again. With that in mind, the vision is that we all get on board with growing Ashland. If everybody has the same idea of what we're doing, and as the mayor, we're moving forward in that direction very proactively and aggressively, working with downtown Ashland, working with council members. I feel that my leadership style is one of a cooperative nature, and of very relational. How can we do things better? And talking with people and putting things on the table. It's bringing in the inclusiveness and sharing the vision for Ashland.
Thank you. Mayor Stewart, would you like to respond?
Leadership styles vary. And I do feel that I have a leadership team approach. And my team approach, I do not go out and ask every single person that works for my 8 directors, well, what do you think we should be doing? I believe that is a significant part of what a supervisor and a department head should do. I will not be out talking to 240 people. But I will be out talking to the supervisors, and obviously I talk to their department heads. The department heads have to have a team approach to get their jobs done. Today we have fewer people working doing the same things that we were doing 5, 6, 7 years ago. And if we didn't have a team approach, we would not be getting the things done that we're doing.
Thank you. Well, at this time we're going to proceed to closing statements. And Mrs. Kim Calhoun will go first in our closing statement.
This series of debates has been a tremendous opportunity to engage our community. I am grateful for the chance to share with you my goals for leading Ashland to become a thriving community. I just told you what I plan to do if I am your mayor, but I want to remind you of why. I grew up in Ashland when people had jobs. In high school, my friend Ellen worked at Sanitary Market and my husband Jim worked at National Latex during the summer to pay his way through college. Parents and students alike had jobs, and we appreciated having a job. On Friday nights, we went downtown to the movie theater. On Saturday, we shopped in town and at local grocery stores. Jobs were plentiful, and people spent money in Ashland. With strong leadership, Ashland will be prosperous again. With that picture of what Ashland has been and with my plan of what Ashland can be, we cannot accept the status quo. When you elect me as your mayor, we absolutely will be moving forward to make Ashland a desirable place to live, a prosperous place to work, and an attractive place to play. When you elect me as your mayor, I will work with energy and enthusiasm. I would be honored to have your vote on Tuesday, November 5th. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Stewart.
Yes, thank you. I again offer my thanks to AU's radio and television students and faculty for hosting this debate, as well as the Ashland County Young Republicans for sponsoring this evening. You have offered our public an opportunity to learn more about us as candidates and what we are all about. Before I go into some of this other information, I hope that this mayor is not being blamed for what happened in downtown Ashland over the past 40 years. Just think about that. We are making a move back. There's 15 businesses have opened in Ashland this year. They're not all manufacturing businesses, but there are 15 businesses listed on this list. Congratulations to the following businesses that have opened their doors over the summer. A couple of clarifications I need to make regarding statements during our debates. First, I did not vote myself a 10% salary increase as inferred during an earlier debate. City Council sets salaries for all elected officials as well as wage ranges for non-union employees. The actual fact of the matter is the sitting mayor, the mayor in the position, January 2014, will get a 2% increase over what the mayor is making this year. Second, my opponent has suggested that the office of mayor will not be a retirement job for her. Believe me, it has been far from a retirement job for me for the last 6 years, nor will it be a retirement job for me in the future. I invite you to ask anyone that has worked with me for the past 6 years if I have approached the mayor's position as a retirement job. Third, I do not make misleading statements, nor do I make empty promises. My promises to all of you: I will continue a management style that includes my team of directors as well as input from business leaders of the community. I will continue to work with the 5 members of City Council and other elected officials. I promise to manage our city within the budget constraints brought on by our economy. As technology changes, I will employ technologies that are prudent for our overall well-being. Finally, I'm the best choice to continue as your mayor for the next 4 years because I have a great depth of management experience in the private sector, both large and small companies, as well as management experience in the public sector as president of City Council and as your mayor for nearly 6 years. I have worked with teams of people for many years. Therefore, I know how to work with the 8 division directors and their team of 240 plus employees, as well as City Council, business leaders in the community, and you, my constituents. Thank you.
And thank you. You've been watching the Ashland City mayoral debate live on AUTV20 and listening by way of radio on 88.9 FM WRDL. I'm Andrew Keller. I'd like to thank the candidates for joining us this evening for our debate. I'd also like to thank Ashland University for providing the television studio tonight, and also thank the Ashland County Young Republicans for sponsoring tonight's debate. Special thanks to Lindsay Queen for being our timekeeper for the candidates. And also would like to thank the students and faculty of the Department of Journalism and Digital Media at Ashland University for tonight's production. Thank you, have a good night, and don't forget to vote on November 5th.